Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to get into some online marketing,
Okay.
specifically all those pitfalls
Oh, right.
that can just drain your bank account before you even really get going.
Absolutely.
So we're using this article
Okay.
by Atama Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
It's called 5 Ways Online Marketing Can Drive You Bankrupt Fast.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty intense,
Yeah.
but it's good. You know?
Yeah.
Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
I like that.
And Anthony, he doesn't really...
He doesn't hold back.
No, he just dives right in.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. Get right into the meat of things.
Absolutely.
So one of the first things he talks about is this thing that he calls the Facebook ad fallacy.
Okay.
And I think we've all kind of been there.
Yeah.
Where you think, oh, if I just put some money into ads.
So everything will be fine.
Exactly. All my problems will be solved.
Right.
But it's just not that simple.
No, it's definitely not the whole picture.
Not at all.
Like you said, it's easy to get sucked into this idea of just...
Spend $1, make $1 back.
Yeah, like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems so simple, but it's not sustainable.
No, and he talks about...
It's not how you build a real business.
Right. He says expenses shouldn't be more than 30% of your revenue.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Right. I mean...
If you want to be viable long-term,
Exactly.
you can't be spending all your revenue on getting more revenue.
Right. Have you ever fallen into this trap?
I think in the beginning, when I first started out, I was definitely...
It's tempting.
Yeah, I was definitely too focused on just the paid advertising.
Right.
But I quickly learned that it's all about finding that balance
Yeah.
between paid advertising
Right.
and what we call organic marketing.
Yeah, what exactly do you mean by, organic marketing?
So organic marketing is basically anything that you're not paying for directly.
Okay.
So think content marketing, SEO, email marketing,
Right.
building those relationships with customers. Okay, so it's more about the long game.
Exactly. It's about building a sustainable business.
Right, not just quick wins.
Exactly.
Okay. So another thing Anthony warns against is relying too much on SAM
Oh, yeah.
without a strong content strategy.
Right.
And I think for some listeners who maybe aren't as familiar,
Yeah.
SAM stands for search engine marketing.
Right.
And it's basically just getting your website to show up when people search for stuff.
Exactly. So when they're looking for whatever it is you offer.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like what you were saying before.
Yeah.
You can't just have that and nothing else.
Exactly. SEM alone is not enough.
Right.
It's like having a billboard in the middle of the desert.
Oh, I like that.
You might get some attention, but if there's nothing there,
Nobody's going to stop.
people are just going to keep driving.
So you need the content.
You need the content to back it up.
Right, to give people a reason to
Yeah. To engage with you.
stay on your website.
To learn more.
Yeah, and eventually become a customer.
Right. And become a loyal customer.
What are some examples of good content for that?
Well, it really depends on your business and your audience.
Yeah,
But some
yeah.
common examples are blog posts,
Okay.
videos, showing off your product or service, FAQs,
Right.
Answering common questions,
Yeah.
customer reviews.
Oh, yeah, social proof.
Exactly.
Right? And then even things like images.
Right. Rich media,
Yeah.
images, videos, all that good stuff.
So it's really about just providing value.
Yeah. Giving them something to
Just engage with.
engage with, learn from, be entertained by.
Yeah. So it's not just about selling all the time.
Not all.
It's about building that relationship.
Exactly.
Now, let's say you're just starting out.
Okay.
And you're a solopreneur.
Yeah, you're wearing all the hats, doing everything yourself.
Yeah, and you're just raring to go.
Yeah, you've got all this energy.
Right. And you want to be on every platform.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, the whole shebang.
Right. You just want to do it all.
Yeah, conquer the world.
But Anthony says,
Pump the brakes.
yeah, he actually has a name for this.
He calls it the one-man show 5 marketing channel syndrome.
Right.
And it's a recipe for disaster.
It is. It's so true.
It's just going to burn out.
It's like trying to juggle flaming torches.
While riding a unicycle?
Exactly.
Ah.
You're going to drop something.
Yeah, something's going to catch fire.
So what does he recommend instead of trying to do it all?
He recommends starting small.
Okay.
Focus on 1 or 2 channels
That makes sense.
that really align with your audience
Right.
and your strengths.
Okay, so you don't have to be everywhere.
No, you just got to be where your customers are
That makes sense.
and where you can excel.
So it's like building a house.
Right.
You lay the foundation first.
You don't start with 5 different rooms at once.
Right, exactly. And this kind of leads into another pitfall that Anthony talks about,
Oh, yeah.
which is these online speculators.
Oh, the gurus.
Yes, the guru.
With their secret formulas.
Right, all those webinars
Okay.
promising you overnight success.
And Lamborghinis.
Yes. It's tempting, though,
Oh, it's so
to
tempting.
fall for that.
But it's important to be discerning.
Right.
Anthony's warning us about these shortcuts that don't actually lead anywhere.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Exactly.
So how do you actually spot a real expert?
That's a great question.
Right. Because they're all mixed in together online.
They are.
So how do you know?
Well, I think it starts with asking the right question.
Okay.
Like, does this person have a proven track record?
Right.
Are they sharing real-world examples?
Okay. Not just like,
Not just
Yeah.
vague platitude.
yeah, motivational quotes.
Right. You want actionable advice.
Okay. So you really got to look beyond the hype.
You do.
Okay. Now, another pitfall that I think we've all experienced at some point
Oh, yeah.
is this thing called shiny object syndrome.
I know that one well.
It's so easy to get distracted
So easy.
by the latest tools or trends.
Or, just constantly tweaking your website.
Yes,
Oh, I got to change the font again.
right. It never ends.
But Anthony reminds us that all that stuff,
Yeah.
it's not what actually drives revenue.
Right. So are you saying design doesn't matter at all?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Design is important for the user experience,
Sure.
but it's about finding that balance.
Okay.
You don't want to spend all your time
Right.
making your website look pretty
Right.
if you're not actually creating content or
Yeah.
engaging with your audience.
Okay. So it's about the substance, not
Yeah.
just the looks.
Exactly.
Okay. So basically, all of these pitfalls that we've talked about,
Yeah.
they kind of boil down to this idea of like quick fixes and shortcuts
Right.
that just don't work
They don't.
in the long
You
run.
got to put in the work.
You do. You have to build a sustainable business.
Exactly.
And that's not going to happen overnight.
It takes time and effort.
It does.
Yeah.
And a genuine commitment to serving your audience.
Absolutely. It's about building a business that reflects your values and serves your audience and, can stand the test of time.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So I think we've covered a lot in this deep dive so far.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Should we maybe do a quick recap just to make sure everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, let's recap those 5 key takeaways from Anthony's article.
Perfect. So number 1.
Number 1 was that Facebook ad fallacy.
Right.
Thinking that you can just spend money on Facebook ads and be successful.
Right. And it's not to say that paid advertising doesn't have its place.
Exactly. It's a tool.
Right. But it's not the only tool.
And it has to be part of a larger strategy.
Right. You got to find that balance.
Exactly. Balance is key.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2 was SEM without content.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
You got to have both.
So again, SEM is search engine marketing.
Right. Getting your website to show up in search results.
Mm-hmm.
But once people get to your website, what are they going to see?
Right. They need a reason to stay.
Exactly. And that's where the content comes in.
Okay. So SEM gets in there, content keeps in there.
Exactly. A 1-2 punch.
I like it. All right. Number 3.
Number 3 was all about burnout.
Oh, right. The one-man show, 5 marketing channels syndrome.
Yeah, you can't do it all.
Especially when you're first starting out.
Especially as a solopreneur.
Right. You're wearing all the hats.
And you only have so much time and energy.
So what did Anthony say? Focus on like 1 or 2 channels first.
Yeah, find the channels that resonate with your audience and your strengths.
Yeah, and then you can expand from there.
Exactly. Build that solid foundation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Number 4?
Number 4 was beware the online speculators.
Oh, yeah, the gurus.
The gurus, the quick fixes, the overnight success.
It's all very tempting.
It is very tempting.
But you got to do your research.
You got to look for those red flags.
Right. Make sure they're actually legit.
Exactly. Don't just buy into the hype.
All right. And finally, number 5.
Number 5 was the shiny object syndrome.
Oh, that's a good one.
Always chasing the latest and greatest.
Right. Constantly tweaking and redesigning
And forgetting about the core of your business?
Yeah, which is
Man.
Which is serving your audience, providing value, building those relationships.
So don't get so caught up in the looks that you forget about the substance.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Right. So I think these 5 takeaways are really valuable
I think so too.
for anyone who's, trying to build a successful online business.
They remind us that it's not about quick fixes or shortcuts.
It's about putting in the work.
Yeah, and focusing on what really matters.
And building something that you're proud of.
Absolutely something sustainable.
So as you think about these takeaways and how they apply to your own business,
Yeah, I want to leave you with one final thought.
I'm all ears. Lay it on us.
All right, so we've talked a lot about, these pitfalls, these mistakes that people make.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get caught up in, what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, you see people having success with a certain strategy.
And you think, oh, I got to do that too.
Right.
But the truth is, what works for one person
Might not work for another.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you.
right? So it's not about just blindly following the crowd.
No, it's about being intentional
Yeah, being strategic.
and, really understanding your business,
Your audience.
your goals.
So don't be afraid to, like, experiment a little bit.
Yeah, try new things.
But always make sure those experiments
Are aligned with your overall strategy.
right. It's got to make sense for your business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, the online world is constantly changing.
Oh, yeah.
So what worked yesterday might not work today.
Right.
You got to stay curious.
Keep learning.
Adapting.
Evolving.
Exactly. So yeah, I guess my final thought is
Yeah.
don't be afraid to break the mold.
Ooh, I like that.
Challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Create something truly unique.
Something authentic.
Something that reflects your values.
That's great advice. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think on that note, it's probably time to wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into online marketing pitfalls.
It's been a good one.
It has been. And hopefully our listeners have learned a thing or two
I hope so.
about how to avoid those potential disasters.
And if they do stumble,
Yeah.
it's all part of the process.
Right.
Just keep learning, keep growing, and you'll get there.
Well said. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure.
Cool.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.